Hey everyone, it's David Trisivia, and today we're going to be taking a look at just a single shot from a music video I've been working on. This music video is directed by a good friend of mine named Andrew Litton, and the artist is Haunted, and this track is called Butter. The spot was shot by Christian Zuniga on Red Epic. And so what we're going to be doing is taking this shot right here and making it look something like this. We're going to be doing pretty quickly and trying to focus on just keeping the number of nodes just linear and nothing too complicated, so we can just knock this out as quick as we can. So I've got this shot copied over here without any nodes or anything on it at all. And so first thing when we see this shot, we notice, so we've got this nice sunset here. It's really pretty. And we've got our main actor here in the foreground, and our levels aren't anywhere close to each other. And it's pretty and it looks nice, but when we come later to try and balance this, it's going to look weird. So what we want to do first is just isolate this sky and try and pull everything back in to lower this down and make it a more consistent level, which allow us to do our primaries without too much trouble. So here, let me turn off all these nodes on the old project so we can take a look at this. So what I've done here, especially if I grab this selector shower, you can see it's not a super clean key. There's details missed here in the background and stuff, but it's good enough, especially because a lot of these details are already darker because of the trees and stuff in the way. So all we have to do is get close enough. We've also, you can see here, got some bleed onto our actress, and if we wanted to, we could go in and clean this up at a later time, but for the sake of speed, we're just going to ignore that. So what I've done here is just clicked in the middle of the sky to get sort of rough levels, and what we want to do now is sort of focus on making sure we've got everything selected. So turning off the saturation and luma. This is of course our HSL qualifier node, which is hue, saturation, and luma, and lets us select areas of the image to work with based on just these factors. So I've got here, we want to fiddle around and see, what feels like a good center. Something like this is getting pretty close. Maybe a little bit wider, so we're getting all this stuff down here. So that's feeling pretty good. We'll turn saturation just now, and maybe get rid of a little bit of some of this stuff that we don't need. That's not doing much. Take a look at the luma. This is where most of it's going to be happening, because again, our focus is that the sky is so much brighter than the rest of the image that selecting this bright portion should be pretty accurate in terms of getting us everything that we need. So lowering this down just a little bit, raising this up maybe, just so we know we're not clipping anything. Now we turn everything on. Maybe we'll get a little bit more width here. That's nice. And so now we've got these little details that are left. And so we can take care of that by just increasing our denoise. Let's really crank it on this because it's a nice soft scene. And we shouldn't need any blur, and we'll just scrub through it to make sure we don't have any weird things. And that's good. So we can turn this off. And so now we've got this selected. And we probably want to crank the saturation. Again, I'm trying to use my mouse here as much as I can, because while I do have the settings here on the board, it's sometimes hard for you to see. And by the way, this is a JL Cooper Eclipse CX board, for those of you who are curious. So we'll crank the saturation so the colors look nice. And now we're going to be bringing this down. Bring it way down. And so now we still got a little bit of noise going on here, so maybe increase this blur just a touch. And our sky is now pretty in line. You can't see the scopes, but you'll have to trust me on it with the rest of the image. We do have some of this issue right here, where we've got a little bit of selection on the outside, and you can see because this denoise, as we increase it, it sort of denoises in from the edge, which is something we don't want. I'm going to not worry about it on the top here because I know this is going to be cropped to 3:5, but let me see if we can increase our in-out ratio just a touch, which again increases the blur that we get. So what this is doing is, if I turn this on, is increasing what this affects. So we do get some bleed onto our actress here, but that goes a long way in terms of getting rid of this data over here. So now, and again, this top corner here is going to be cropped, so we need to worry about it. But we've got a good selection on the sky, and that's all taken care of. And so now we can play with the colors on it a little bit. I like adding a little bit of warmth to a sky like this so it doesn't feel quite so cold, and should help set her skin tone off just a touch. And so that's a good start, and we've already gone a long way in terms of making the shot look nice. And so what we're going to be tackling next is just general levels, followed by hitting some highlight stuff. So let's just quickly. And the trick here is to add warmth without feeling like you're touching it too much. And so I've added a little bit of warmth in the highlights and mids and touched the cool down in the shadows, so we get that nice rich feeling right before dusk. Because we like the look, we just want it to enhance it a little bit. Okay, so that's feeling pretty good to me. And so what we're going to do now is another HSL, except this time we're only going to be doing the Luma. And the way I like to do this, instead of always going down and using the selector view, is, let's just throw a bunch of color on this so we can see what we're doing. And I'll switch over to the low clip. You can see here it's pretty easy to see. So what I'm trying to do is take these highlights that are already on our actress and enhance them a little bit. So I've got this HSL by adjusting here to a point where it's feeling pretty good. We'll show off her bones and stuff, and then we soften it out just a touch. We'll cancel that, and now we'll go to our gamma and our gain and just lift those up just a touch, and maybe add denoise just a little bit to soften it. So this really helps her bones, her cheekbones, the lines of her body really get enhanced. But it's also kicking up our sky a bunch, which is something we don't want. So we can take this map, put it around her, soften that up, and then pretty quickly we get this nice rich enhancement on her. Let me kick this up to premium. You can see especially on her face here, her cheekbones are really enhanced. And this is a great technique that works in all sorts of situations, not just sunset stuff like this. And it can really help enhance the lighting that's already in the shot. It's not going to make up for lighting that's not there, but it will increase how it looks. So that's that. And next, we're going to brighten up a little bit, and then brighten up this corner here. So let's touch this up. Let me switch over to here so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, a little more color. Just feeling a touch anemic. See how that feels. Again, these are just, on a shot like this, when everything is so similar, a lot of what you're doing is super small changes. Because anything big is going to feel touched. And we want this to feel natural but beautiful. So again. So again, this is a subtle touch, but it really helps draw your eye straight to the actress, instead of just being overtaken by that sunset. And so you can see we've got different looks going on these, and this is something that happens. And if we wanted to bring this in more in line with that, that's something that's simple to do. And I'll save this last note for a minute just to show you what we're doing with that. So this what I've done here is take down this corner some. I don't think I need to do it in this one because I think we're a little touch darker. So we can skip just straight ahead to making sure she has enough light on her, which is enhancing even more what we've already done with this node right here. So just touching this up. It's a little too far. So we've already come pretty far on this shot. And while some of the stuff here looks a little bit odd, especially in our sky selection, we can come back later and clean that up. I'm going to touch real quick now on something I get a lot of questions about, which is using LUTs or software like Film Convert. Now, I'm going to use Film Convert here, and I've got it built into my suite because I really love the grain generation it does. It's just really fast and easy, and means that I don't have to do a whole lot of work in terms of overlaying grain and making sure everything's lined up right and adjusting it shot to shot. And the grain it puts out is really pretty, and there's a lot of options, so I can quickly A/B it when the director, the DP, or whoever is sitting in with us, and we can tell exactly what they want right away. I don't recommend using Film Convert or a lot of these LUTs in terms of making your image from scratch. Let me give you an example. So say if we just had this shot here, okay, and we want to just quickly get there, and sometimes you don't have time and you've just got to start with LUTs and grain and Film Convert plugins and just get there as fast as you can. And I understand that, and I've done that before, and I'm usually disappointed in how it turns out. So we've got this red camera selected, and this is, what they shot here. I guess red camera 3, and it just, these looks, oh man, it's stuck. And this is the other thing. Sometimes when you're depending on these plugins, they lock up on you. There we go. Let's scrape this grain down. Okay, so you click through these samples and you say maybe okay I like that, and you bring up your and let's just turn this off. That gets you somewhere. But it's going to render slower. It's you've got less control in the image, and you're sort of giving away a lot of your creativity to this. These are great for starting points, but remember, it's not I had to do all these secondaries in order to make it usable. This is not a one-stop shop thing. This is not magic bullet looks back in the day. These are tools you need to use to enhance the image, or when you're in a time crunch, something to get you 70% of the way there and finish it off. What I do like using it though for is once you've got an image you're happy with, like this is pretty, is taking it and using it as a film emulsion emulators. So they've got these film stocks in here, and we say, oh, I like this Fuji Vivid Daylight or whatever. And you can click around and say, we've got this pretty image, but maybe we're too blue, and we get more filmic colors by enabling this at the very end of our process. So this is something that's used to enhance whatever your final image is and give you that little bit of extra. Maybe we get there and then I demo this with the director and I say, well, you like this right here, but maybe you want something that's a little cooler. So we can quickly drop on this Kodak look, maybe turn down the curve so we're just getting colors from it. And it gives you options with something that's not a whole lot of adjusting and gets you there. The other time I found these really useful is when I have a director who doesn't quite know what they want, and we'll click through a bunch of looks and they're like, oh, I like that direction, and that gets us off in a new look pretty quickly. So these are tools, and they're great tools to use, but remember, they're not a replacement for all your color work. It's just something to be used in tandem with it to enhance it or to speed up your process. And so that's it. That's pretty quickly. We go from something like this to something like this, or alternatively this look over here. And this one's got a little bit more highlights, more contrast on her, so we could turn this down here. Make sure it's just more on the top of her if we wanted to get that look. And that's very quickly how to take a shot from raw, lots of contrast and rough looking, to a finished, polished looking final. So thanks for listening.